Hey everyone, John Oliphant from Practical Chrome for another Adventures in Chrome. This one is actually going to be about touch, going over like some of how it is to interact with the device when you touch it instead of using just your trackpad, like you can see me moving my mouse here. So I'm afraid I can't show you as my hand touches the screen because what we do is we create that little like Doppler effect thing. And I don't want to do that. I want to be able to give you guys the opportunity to just kind of see what happens. I'm going to do my best to describe what my fingers are doing, and then you can kind of get an understanding of what it's like to have a touch device and also how to use it. So let's kind of get started here, right? So this, of course, is the browser, and we've got everything open here. I'm going to use my finger. You can see the mouse here, and you know when we zoom in on something, right? There's not really much else we can do besides scrolling back and forth, things like that. But if I use my fingers, I can actually pinch to zoom on any web page, right? So I'm moving it around. I'm looking at this image here, and you can of course do this with text and everything else. So that's another cool feature. That's one of the cool features about it, because you can pinch to zoom on anything, right? Text, everything, and it gets really crystal clear on the text too. It actually expands properly, so it's really cool. Another thing with the fingers that you'll get used to is that you can do a lot of things with it, like sliding down the shelf. If I just push it down, it goes away. But if I move my finger up from the bottom a little bit, it comes right back up. That's kind of neat, right? I mean, it's just everything's interactive on there. Now, the other thing is the right click menu. So on a web page, if I tap my two fingers on the screen, I'm going to get the right click context menu. Now, the other thing I can do is I can hold my finger down. See a little swirly? That is actually telling you that your finger's there and it's going to start to do its magic. Now you would use that function on things like up here at the tabs. If you look up at the very top, if I touch the Chrome OS Wikipedia tab, first of all it went there, and then also when it did the swirlies, because trying to get my two fingers there would be kind of difficult. Same thing up here at the top in the blank area where the tabs are. If I can tap it with two fingers like that, but that's a little difficult, and especially as it gets smaller and smaller. So I can hold it down, little swirlies come along, and there we have the little right-click context menu. So the other thing that I want to show you is when you highlight text. So again, I can scroll up and down with my one finger really easily, right? I can also go back a page just like I can with two fingers on the trackpad. So I can actually go back and forth. Let me see here if I can get it to do it. There we go. So there it goes. It actually switched. Remember, we were on Google Chrome OS, and now we're on Google Chrome, and it's loading. There it goes. But I can actually go back to Chrome OS with a finger swipe. Right, I can go back on this one. It goes to the beginning of Wikipedia. This is Google Chrome. This is Chrome OS. Isn't that cool? So of course, at the top we do have the tabs, so I can scroll in between the tabs anytime I want, just like that. Now we do have the functionality where on the trackpad you can actually use three fingers to do that same functionality, where you can go in between the tabs. But that's still pretty cool. Right? So now I can also do the double click, right? So if I double click on this word computer here in the middle of the screen, oops, I can double click it. There we go. It highlighted it. Of course, I've got the um, dictionary extension from Google, so it allows you to see the word computer there in the description. But again, the other thing that we can do with the touch, we have the double click, but we can also long press, and it'll oops, I missed a spot. A long press. Come on. There we go. Look at this. It's just like mobile, right? I'm going to grab these little tabs. It actually looks very iOS-like, to be honest, with little black dots. But you can see I can highlight all that, and then the copy functionality pops up, and also I get a little bit extra. I can hit the extra, and that's my entire right-click menu. So that's pretty cool, right? I think that's really well done, actually. So really neat. Again, up and down really quickly with my finger, back and forth on the screen. If I go back this way, I can actually go to the next one, or I can go back forward again. Really cool, just with one finger, scrolling up and down. And then here's the zooming on text. Look how crisp that becomes. I mean, that is just really cool how well that's done. And again, I can double click to get a word to come up. And again, the dictionary is going to pop up for us. Or I can also long press and hold, and it will become selectable. And I can copy that and everything like that. So speaking of copying text and looking at text, so if I were to copy this text, I could also, of course, paste it. It becomes really straightforward, right? Copy it, go up here to the menu here, and I can paste. Or I can see I can copy that too. But if I paste there, right, I'm just going to put Chrome. Of course, I can go ahead and hit enter, get it to go, right? But the other thing is people like to find out about is actually the on-screen keyboard. That's been a really kind of hot button for touch, right? Because you're supposed to get it completely away from it, especially on some of the convertible models coming out. You're going to flip it, you're going to be good to go. So one of the things I want to do is I'm going to go over to settings. Now I can do this a couple of ways, of course. I could actually go this way, like that sometimes. Where did I go? And then, or I could go ahead and go over here and go to settings. That didn't work out well. Usually I like to hit the search button on a lot of my apps. I'll use like files. I'll just hit the search button and just type in files, right? So, but settings didn't work. Thought it did. Anyway, speaking of search though, inside of settings, again, when it comes to settings, I like to just use search because sometimes things are kind of hidden a little bit away. I'm going to go down. I'm just going to type in keyboard, and you can see already we have accessibility at the bottom there. See, that's what we want. Again, I'm using my finger to scroll up and down, and I'm going to go ahead and enable the keyboard. And when you enable the keyboard, I'm going to go ahead and exit out of that, and exit out of that. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to head over to a document. It's a document, or if I go to the top in the URL bar, if I open a new one, we'll go to the URL bar. If I tap that, see, here comes that little thing there that shows us that's actually used for highlighting the little black ball with the blue line. That's our cursor. But here comes the keyboard. Now I can make this go away with a swipe down over on the right or left hand sides, and then also if I bring the shelf up, or if I'm in the type to leave it active, this button will always be here. I can actually turn on the keyboard whenever I want. And also there's also a keyboard down button here at the very bottom right hand corner. But you can also swipe it, so that's cool too. So again, if you wanted to type, like let's say you're in this Google Doc, I could actually type out using this, John, whoops, John was here. So I can easily type it out. And it actually works really well. That's really cool, right? So this is kind of how touch is working, right? It's pretty neat. Again, if you were to get a model like the Pixel or the Acer C720P, this is the kind of functionality that you'll receive. You'll be able to use the things like the on-screen keyboard. Right now I double-click the title bar to get that to happen where I minimize the window. I can also click and drag it around. Actually, I clicked the corner and held down, and that's what allowed me to make it bigger and smaller. But if I grab the top, if I can grab it, there we go. I can move it around. You can see my screen, my camera is kind of moving because when I do touch the screen, it does jiggle a little bit. But you can see that it's really amazing how well this works. If I were to, I'm going to expand this one more time, and I'm going to show you also this real quick. If I use something like Pixlr, the touch also really works well with that. We're going to create a new image. Let's make it pretty big. Big guy there. I'm going to click that. Click OK. So let's expand this out. Now, if I wanted to move around there we go, my menus, I can actually move. Look at that. I just use my finger, move them around. So if I wanted to, let's go ahead and go to full screen, and then now I've got this wonderful palette now to work with. And so this is one of the cool things about this type of stuff, right? So I'm going to just go ahead and give Chrome, right? We're working with Chrome. And then it's just amazing what we can do with this. And then I'll switch to here, and we'll add a little, right? I'm drawing right on the screen here. Chrome. Very cool, right? So I can exit out of that at the top. I'm going to say, save it, no. That's alright. We'll exit out of that. Again, at the top, I can go ahead and bring down, see if I can get it to come down here. Oh, I'll have to go, there it goes. Took me a second. I had swiped from the top down, grab it, there it is. And it brings it down for me. So I can probably, there we go. We can go back up there just by swiping. So again, is touch available? Heck yes. Does it work really well? Yes, it does. Works actually very well. So definitely check it out if you think that it's something that you're going to want to look into, especially on the Acer C720 model. This thing is like only $299. Pixel, you can get them used, usually in between $700 and $900. That's still really nice, and it's got a full touch screen, and it's definitely doable. It works really well, and definitely check it out. Definitely get a touch model if you think it's going to work, especially if you have kids, because they're going to want to touch the screen. I'll tell you that right now. So that was touch on Chrome OS, just hitting some of the major features. Definitely check it out. If you do get a model, it does come actually with a little pamphlet that describes how to use some of the touch features, things like that. So check that out. Again, my name is John Oliphant with Practical Chrome. This was an adventure in Chrome. Of course, I want to thank the TechSmith team for Snagit, which is what I recorded this on, as well as also I'd like to thank Acer for the awesome C720P touch model. Otherwise, you guys have a good rest of your day. See ya.